Did you know Dump City is the most watched show by billionaires? Hey everyone, Brento here. Welcome to another season of Dump City. As you can see here, we're going to be playing a new game, not the same as the last season. We like to mix it up a bit here. In case you're wondering, too, the show's going to be a little bit shorter than previous seasons. So if you've seen this in your feed before and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to watch a 2 hour show, this is going to be a much more condensed season. So hopefully it's easier for people to watch. This season, we're going to play some Path of Exile 1 specifically. I'd like to do eventually PoE 2 in a future season. So it doesn't really make sense to do PoE 2 first. As well, my machine, as you know, I'm pretty broke, so I can't run the latest greatest games. So, and I know PoE 1 works, and I know a little bit about it. I'm not an expert at the game, but hopefully this series will teach you a little bit about it if you're new to the game or you are thinking of trying the game. Maybe you'll see some things in this episode that will uh, teach you a little bit about it. Um, why PoE though? Like, why of all the games? Well, it just so happened a new season released last week. And I know when I was originally starting Dump City, I wanted to do this as actually one of the first games, but they weren't releasing any new seasons. And I thought, oh, are they even going to do the season thing anymore? So, given that they just released it and given that they might start putting resources into PoE 2 in the future, I thought this is the time to do it. And this is a good time to also test the new format, shorter episodes. Still going to do my random wacky topics, but not as many. This episode, I think we'll just do two. A little bit of an interlude from the gameplay itself. So without further ado, let's get into it. One of the things with Path of Exile is they have a great website. So if you're going to play the game, be sure to have Path of Exile bookmarked as your top bookmark, because you can't, it's actually kind of hard to play this game effectively without regularly visiting their website. It's one of the best websites created for a video game, probably ever, in my opinion. Not only do they have like basically everything you need to know about the game on the website, but they have links to, trading. You can search items here, right? So this season, however, or the way I'm going to start it, I'm going to be doing solo self-found, so I won't be doing any trading, but that's just an example of something you can do. Everything's in one place. So yeah, I think PoE is a fun RPG game. It's free to play. It has a league system. So when you start a character, generally I would recommend you start in a season, like in a league, and then eventually evolve to standard. So I'm going to sort of this episode's for noobs, okay? If you're not really familiar with the game, it's just some basic things. So unlike other RPGs where you create a character on a server, you level up, you add some items to your character. This one you have this concept of seasons and they're finite time. The one I'm in right now happens to last 4 months. It's about a week old right now. And I'm going to get started here. And what happens is you play for the 4 months, and once it's over, it merges into the main trunk of the game version. And if I understand it correctly, it's like a pass or fail with new features. So that you're trying new features in the league, and then if they're good features, they end up in the main trunk. If they're not, they get dropped. So that's sort of like there's no advantage to going to the standard format. You're better off going right into the league right off the bat. We'll get into that in the character creation soon. So, but before we do that, and again, this is about picking your character and getting started this episode. I've played this twice before. Okay, so I've have at a level 93 and a level 96 character. Level 96 was my first character. That was a trade league, so it's a little easier to trade and get better items. I played solo self-found last time, got up to level 93, but I learned some lessons. So one of the first things, if you want to be good at this and have a character to get to higher levels with less stress, here's a bit of advice. Go to their website, obviously, then go to League Ladders, and then check out the current league and go to one of the categories here. Doesn't really matter. We're going to be playing SSF Keepers here. If you're watching this video, it might be in the future, probably called something else. So I'll just go view more here. And I'm going to look at the classes of characters here. So this is probably the thing I like to make life easier for you. These are the favored classes right now in the meta. Okay, so this is one of the first things I would do. If you want to be a real nerd about it, hang out on some of the the pro PoE websites, or hang out on Twitch and listen to some of these experts on what the best classes are. Some of them have some information that others don't. But if you're just a casual schmuck like me and you're not trying to be top of the ladder, you just want to have a lot of fun playing an RPG, just go to the list here and see the most popular classes. So this season, I noticed this Berserker class is all over the place, okay? And if we look at one of the characters here, we can actually see a bit how they're built. So this is actually what I would recommend as the first thing you do, is go look for the list of top players and look what classes they are. Again, we have this one's a chieftain, okay? But I believe a chieftain and a berserker descend from the marauder class. So just a little bit of a basic information before we get into the game is you have these basic classes, but each one has a specialty, so they subdivide from that. So this is a marauder with an ascendancy of chieftain, but they could also be berserker. That means they basically start from this skill node here. Okay, I'm going to open this in a new window here. And we'll have a look at this here. So this is one of the reasons a lot of people don't play this game, but don't be scared by this. This isn't as confusing as it looks, because this actually is every character class all on one screen. So this is the Marauder, and it can evolve out. Basically, you got Templar, Duelist, Witch, Ranger, typical RPG archetypes, and you start at a node and then you branch out. So don't be intimidated by this. You're basically going to work in one section. Okay, that's the thing about it. But you do have the option of going around and exploring. But if you want it to be like here we have the Marauder class, you probably wouldn't be easily be able to mix with whatever class is here on the tree. So keep that in mind. And again, you'll notice I'm just looking at someone else's build here. Okay, I don't have to think about it. I can get ideas here. I also recommend this too. Follow a guide, but if you want to be, if you don't want to go that much into it, just load up a top player's build and have a look at them. But also keep in mind it keeps live updates. So if someone's modified their build for specialty purposes, not necessarily to do the toughest content, it might not be accurate, but you can peek at a bunch of them, right? It's not like you have to exactly follow what they did here. And it's just to give you an idea. There's no two builds in this game alike, which is quite interesting. I've played many other games, and there's literally going to be hundreds of people on a server that have the exact same build, but not this one. There's so many permutations possible. Every character is unique. And this actually is probably one of the most important things. If you don't enjoy picking your skill points, picking your items, min-maxing little details, like you don't have to be, you have finite decisions. Not like you can, go down a few spots on the tree here, then pick something over here. Okay. It's like A or B choices all along the way. So it's not as bad as it looks. In terms of this class, I've never played a Marauder. This is actually, the classes I've started before was this year, the Templar, and I expanded in this direction. I had a Witch, I went in this direction. You have typical tropes like energy shield and life in this game. The last game I played, I had this skill on my Witch where her life became 1, but I had a ton of energy shield on her. So there's some very, very powerful skills on this here. So you got to look around, and it's kind of like the first season or two, you won't even know about some of these things. I was looking at this earlier. I was thinking of playing Marauder before I actually started recording here. So it's not like I'm just randomly doing this. And I was noticing there was some very, very powerful skills here that I could get, or abilities. So I'm going to focus on that, and that's what I'm going to learn. So I've literally not seen a lot of the skills on this side of the tree here. I'll see them as the season progresses. So this is basically how you do it. So you choose your base class, which is a Marauder, and then as you get to a certain level, you choose a specialty, which kind of varies it. Like if you've played World of Warcraft, for example, you could have, I think they're warriors. I forget what they're called, but it's similar to this Marauder class, barbarian type, brawler type, where you could spec for prot, where you'd be a tank, or you can spec for DPS. So similar things happen within all three classes. So you build you expand through the passive skill tree this way, and then at a certain level, you have like a mini tree for your character, which makes them a little bit more specific. And I'm pretty, you can unspend some points. There's ways of adjusting them, but it gets more and more expensive as you do it. And a bit of a spoiler, the reason why this is called Path of Exile is because ultimately at the end of a season, you're going to exile yourself on a build. It becomes too costly. You get about, I think, 20 free unspec points as you level up. So don't worry about that. But once you get up to like 80, 90 plus in levels, and you've used all your unspecs, it gets expensive to redo things. So generally, you kind of exile yourself, and that becomes your character. And my other two characters I've built in previous seasons are in that state where, for me to change things is a very, very difficult process to change a passive skill or even to change an item. So that's basically the explanation of how it works. Again, you can also play this competitively. Like there are people who clearly on a ladder system here. And this was, I guess, the first solo self-found player. So you can look at their items here. So you can get a sense of what they're doing. And if you're Elon Musk, you can actually not pay someone else to play your game without someone noticing, because the website will actually show you the status of people online. Yeah, I think you can hide that somehow, but generally that's not a good idea, because if you want to do some trading, you got to let them know if you're online. And I don't know. I'm not 100% sure whether you can enable or disable that, but the point is it's a little bit more honest. So if you're at the, president's inauguration and you're supposedly online playing, then some people ask questions. Mind you, he was playing PoE 2, not PoE 1. I don't think he would ever, for him, he could play any game he wants. He has so much money, but that's a little bit how it works. Now, let's get out of this here. I think we've covered everything. That's the basics. Choose a character. That's one of the big things. Choose a class. Again, this is a free game too, so don't underestimate the value of trying it out. At least get to level 60 or something. However, there are a lot of creature comforts that don't give you any play advantage. Like if you spend money on the game, it won't make you any better at the game itself. You can't basically buy your way to being level 95. You have to be planning your character well and getting the right items for your character as you level up. However, your bag space, and I believe you have to pay a bit of money to access the trade market. So if you want to get items from other players and do trading, so there's a bunch of things when you give them, and it's a really good deal. Like this game, I believe, was created in 2013 off the top of my head, and it's one of the best program games out there. It's relatively bug free, and given how well it works on a non-gaming system, if you don't have much money, this is the game for you. Okay, you can play for free up to a certain point, but I think I put $20-$30 into it just because after 100 plus hours, like, okay, you know what, I should give them some money back. Plus it was my first season when I was on a trading league and I needed some items. I'm like, oh my God, it was so much easier to play once I was able to trade for some items I couldn't find. So that's one of the reasons why you would play this game. So let's just get out of this and let's get into our character creation screen here. And we've seen a few things, so I'm just going to log in and I'm going to create a new character here. Okay, so you want to go typically in the middle one here and start with solo self-found. One of the other things too about this is solo self-found. See this here? You can convert it to a regular character at any time. So this is a superset. It's kind of like why socialism is better than capitalism, because capitalism can exist within a socialist nation, right? It's a superset. But if you have capitalism paying off judges and politicians for bad policies and misleading the media with media stuff, then it's a inferior way of governing people. Okay, so in this case, go with solo self-found, and at any time you can just disable. If you want to trade for an item, you can just flag this off, and then, but it's a permanent thing. It's a one-way thing. As soon as you make a single trade, or as soon as you party with anyone else, this is done for. You're no longer in the SSF ladder. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to do that. And I think we're going to go with the Marauder here because I want to keep it a little bit easier this season. And let's see what we can come up with for names here. Let's see what's available. Okay. Elon the Barbarian. Let's see if this one's available. All right. Oh, there we go. I got a name on my first try. It's sometimes a little hard to get a unique name. Okay, so this is where you get started. And you got this here. I used to have a loot filter. We'll do that in future episodes. I'm typically not really operating with any known mods. I should have probably checked if any of the mods were left on from previous. I'm going to skip tutorials here. Now, the game's fairly straightforward as you play here. You won't actually be able to learn too much here in terms of, like, it's kind of obvious how it works, okay? I actually forget how to control things. It's been so long. I've been playing other games. So the new format of the show is basically I will play a little bit. I'll describe what I'm doing, maybe teach you something in the first bit of the show, and then I'm going to go offline, like stop recording, and then summarize what if I achieve my goal for that session or not. Like maybe I'm going to craft an item in a later episode, and then after a couple of hours, I'll say, here's the item I created, right? That's the new format. But before we do that, we still got to stick to the old format of how this show works. Again, it's commentary and writing. I write a bunch of topics and I share them during the show. And you can't just have me playing a game and be into this the whole time. I go off the map. I don't have any commercials in the show. I'd like to never have commercials, but we'll see how that works. And let's start with the first topic of Dump City of Season 2. And it's called Manta Rays. Okay, again, I just write these. I don't know. Some of these are just ideas. Some of them are commentary on dumb things I see in the world. Most of them are jokes, okay? So most of this is a joke. Some of it's pretty dry. You might not be able to distinguish the difference, but that's why I think it makes it interesting. So the first one's called Manta Rays. Okay, so I saw a video the other day about, I believe it's on YouTube, about how they're putting mirrors out in nature so animals could see themselves for the first time, to see what they look like. They did it for bears, they did it for a gorilla, and I remember they did it for a manta ray. And so it's interesting how some animals are unaware that the reflection is themselves. The bear did not recognize itself. It thought there was another bear and it freaked out and knocked the mirror over. The gorilla seemed to understand it was a reflection of itself and started checking itself. But then they did it with the manta ray, and I think they kind of detect IQ this way in animals too, the self-awareness of the animal itself and how it reacts. And what I thought was fascinating was the manta ray. They said it was highly aware, where it almost instantly recognized inside the mirror was itself. But I was thinking to myself, when that manta ray looked at it, was it thinking, shit, I'm a manta ray? Because manta rays are pretty ugly. Like, they're uglier than hammerhead sharks. Like, their bodies are all deformed, and they got these eyeballs like a hammerhead shark, but they like curve up. And I was thinking that Manta Ray must have been very disappointed in discovering that it was a Manta Ray. So there you go. That's called Manta Rays. Right, let's play a little bit here. I want to basically get into the village here and continue to play a little bit afterwards. So I'm going to get to the village. I'll do one more topic, and then I'm going to sort of summarize what level I get to today. So here you go. Oh my god, I'm going to die right away. That's how bad I am. Okay, now I remember there's health potions. There's a club I saw on the ground here. Okay, this guy wanted me to do something. I should probably read it. Oh my god, how do I make this go faster? Okay, I think this guy wants me to... What are the keys? I don't even remember. Okay, there we go. So I got a club here. Now I can beat things with the club. So I'm going to basically just get to the village and then play a little bit. And basically you can click things and then there's spells. I don't have any spells yet. We'll do that later episodes. And this is the game here. You start off pretty weak, okay? And you don't want to die. You get some good mouse clicking in this episode. You know, it's, as you know, Dump City's an ASMR channel as well. See, I'm getting a little bit of experience here as I kill these things. And again, I want to keep this format shorter. I don't want to be playing this too long. I just want to get to a respite. Look at that. I'm beating up these zombies here. You do get, I think you get a little bit of regeneration. Actually, maybe not. That's interesting. I do have potions. I believe the actual potions regenerate. It's been a while. It's probably been a good year since I played this, so I'm not exactly sure how everything works again, but I will reacquaint myself when I play a little bit offline and then summarize at the end of the episode what happened. Maybe I'll show you some loot I found. But there is a way, you're supposed to be able to, oh, there we go. Oh, I hit the wrong button there. I want to basically get to the village and then take a break. I'm going to do one more topic though before I do that. We'll see how this works out, this new shorter format that teaches you a bit about the game. Again, if you play another class like a ranger, you're going to obviously have bows. You can be a ranged attacker. That's a... Okay, there's a boss here. Let's see if I can beat this guy. Oh my god. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do this. Wow, this guy's tough. Maybe I should be getting some more items before fighting him. Oh, I better... It'd be nice to get some armor or something. Maybe I was supposed to be picking up some loot. I don't think I have a loot filter on. I'll explain that in a future episode. I'm so bad at this game now. It's been a long time. Remember when Elon Musk pretended he had a level 99 character? And you're like, I don't know about that. There we go. We got something. No, those suck. Okay. Well, maybe I was supposed to find a few more items, but we'll beat this guy up some more. Let's see if it's possible. And there's not really a difficulty setting on this. Okay, we'll go here. And we'll start regaining life and we'll beat him up some more. You'll notice each flask has a certain amount of charges, right? So I'm using the keys. Oh, what did he do there? That's ridiculous. What is this? Okay, yeah. So I should probably be finding some items. I didn't think this was going to be this hard for episode 1. But we'll see. I might have to hit pause here. There is a time limit on how long I can do this for. And, okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this guy. So I'm going to have to find some way to heal. Or hide in a corner for a second here. Okay, that I'm avoiding the projectiles. Maybe I could, like, it would be nice to have some armor or something. Like, I thought there would be some items here that would actually help out here, but I haven't found any. There's also like chests on the ground and stuff where you can get some upgrades, but we're gonna have to log off here because there is a time limit to how much. I don't want to die in a level 1. Mind you, if I do, oh, there we go. This is maybe what I was supposed to find. Okay, there we go. That is kind of interesting. We'll get into how gems work in a later episode, but for now, I just want to find like a health potion or some armor or something. And just wait around here. Okay, but before we do, I want to talk about one more topic here. Okay, again, this is Dump City. It's commentary, play video games. This isn't exciting, but before I zoom forward and get to, maybe I'll be level 20 after this. But I've got to do one more topic. If you've watched previous seasons, you know that half the show is just me talking about random things, random ideas. And this one's called An Idea for a Michael Moore Documentary. Okay, so I think Michael Moore, if he's still producing documentaries, he could make one called Retarded America. And what it I think would be about is him visiting politicians and of various levels where he asks them why he lets corporations operate on their territory with business licenses while not paying taxes domestically. Like, why is that? If your community is poor or if you're dealing with problems, if money's exiting your community, you're in an impoverished neighborhood or just things are getting worse, it's because your politicians allow corporations to operate without paying their fair share of taxes. They take the money and then they spend it on travel and nonsense and wasteful things. And it's crazy we give them business licenses to do that. Like, if you're going to be extracting wealth from a nation, you actually have to tax it back, or the nation has to have the right to set up enterprises to compete. But if it does neither, every nation will just eventually go bankrupt and it will always have to be bailed out. There's no way that can be changed. Corporations extract wealth from public funds systematically. Money starts in the public domain, but then it ends in the private domain. And the only way to get it back is through taxation. So why doesn't Michael Moore make a documentary called Retarded America, where he investigates all these places that seem to think that having low taxes and bringing rich people in are a positive thing, yet you don't collect the taxes off them? There's no point to them. You'd be better off having nationalized banks providing funds to create these industries in the first place, which the politicians would be responsible for, but they don't. So I don't know. That's just strange that many places, Western nations, obviously in organized places like China, and you know what? Even the Chinese social model could improve, okay? As ideas get better and things improved, clearly we're not at the apex of social design. When someone says they want socialism or communism, they're not asking for the 1950s Soviet version of it. They're asking for the top economic benefactors right now version of it, such as China. They want the good version of it, the modern version of it. So I don't know. I think Retarded America would be a good idea for a Michael Moore documentary. Anyways, I'm going to try to figure my way out of this here and play a little bit more into the game, and we'll see how that goes. And we'll see if I can get some items on this character. And this is the intro to the game. This is how you get started, okay? So we'll see how that works out. Okay, and we're back here. I've been playing for a few hours now. I've leveled up to a mighty level 10. As you can see by the sun on the wall here, time has passed. I've recalled a few things since the last time I played this game. It takes a while to get familiar with it again. I actually died 2 times in the process. Season mechanic related. I wasn't quite familiar with how some of the things work. And just another side note, when you're playing the game, if you see something that seems a little weird or a little out of context, that could be a season mechanic thing, so don't fret about that. A few things here. In terms of when I was starting earlier and playing near the entry area, I had to kill a few more things before I got some items. I found like a bigger club or something, and beating that guy up wasn't so hard. So if you're playing the game, you're probably through that, and if I would have died there, that would have been quite embarrassing, but luckily I got through that part at least. So, and just a side note too, I'm trying to get to at least level 95 solo self-found, or if I have to convert to a trade league, I'm hoping to do better than that. So we'll see where the season takes us. So I'm actually in a dungeon here. I'm about to kill a boss, and I want to go over a few things here before I do so. When you're getting some items, you'll notice these sockets here, okay? It's very important that there's a lot of sockets and they match the color that you currently are focused on. You'll notice I now have 105 strength. I have way more hit points now. I actually have 389. My face is sort of covering my health pool. Maybe I should move that over somewhere. But the point is, when you're leveling up, you always want to have some gems in the sockets. So that's kind of a bit of a meta game that's going on in terms of economic efficiencies, is you want to be leveling your gems that are ideal. And again, go to the character screen, see who the good players are, see what kind of gems they're using ideally. But initially, you're kind of going to just get whatever you happen to find here. So it's really important, though, not only to have as many sockets as possible, but as many links as possible. In fact, the base item stat, you'll notice this isn't even a magic item, but it's the best weapon I've found that has 3 linked sockets. And that's so important. So you'll want to basically set up a skill with at least 1 support and or 2 skills sharing the same support on the same weapon or item as you go. You can socket an attack skill anywhere. Like I could put this heavy strike inside my chest piece, it would work the same, but I can't link as many sockets with it. So that really beefs up your damage. So right now I got this heavy strike combined with chance to bleed, combined with momentum. Okay, I won't go into the details of this. There's a lot of micro details that you're going to learn as you play the game. But just be mindful when you do level up your gems. You'll notice here this requires this one here. It requires level 7, but many of them require a certain amount of strength or dexterity. Let's see, this one here requires 16 strength. Okay, so a big part of the game is to get your character's stats, like whatever your class is, boosted. You could be focusing on int. Int will add to energy shield, FYI, so that that chaos inoculation I showed you earlier, you'd be stacking int. In this case, life is what I'm going for, okay? And strength gives you life as well, okay? So all the base skills give you the base stats give you some other ability at the same time. But you have to be mindful about managing the levels of them. You don't, like, let's say I wanted to have this momentum support, okay? And at a high enough level, it required, 200 dexterity or something, which I don't think it does. But that would mean I have to put a bunch of dexterity items. See, I happen to find this dexterity amulet, so it's okay for now. Early on, you're kind of just grabbing what you can. You can get some at the vendors. There's a couple of things here I got at the vendors here, just so my character wasn't so feeble, okay? So that's one thing to be mindful of, is always look for multiple linked sockets on your items as you're leveling up. That's a very big deal. So let's just kill a boss here. I'm doing a quest here. And this was a little bit tougher earlier, but this guy's much tougher than the first guy we just fought. And I noticed him earlier, and we'll see. I don't have, again, you'll notice all my skills here aren't laid out. So I'm not quite, this isn't efficiently built. Maybe later on I'll do one episode specific to the class I'm playing here once I get a little bit better at it. Again, I am a bit of a noob, but not I'm better than someone. Okay, here's the boss we got to kill. Okay, so here's what, all I do is smash it. See, that guy had way more hit points than the last one we fought. So that's just me killing things because now I'm a super strong level 10 character, okay? And there's a couple more things I want to show here before we go into... See, when I look at items here, I look at the sockets here. See how many sockets? One socket, one socket. That's another big thing too. Later on, a future episode will go over loot filters. But for now, you pick up what you think's good, but eventually common sense will say, okay, I got to start picking up items here. I'm quite overburdened with stuff, okay? You'll notice too, I have a couple of Quicksilver flasks. These are kind of neat. They boost your speed. One was a quest reward. One was a random drop. And a lot of the things I'm not going to explain here, like you'll kind of figure out the basics how waypoints work. I'm not going to break down every little detail. But for now, I'm just going to hit a portal scroll, because now that we finished this quest here, I got to go back to Lionel's watch. Yeah, when you're on a waypoint, you'll notice too, I have this hideout. You might not have a hideout just yet, but that is sort of your sanctuary, kind of like your store, like where you go and put things in your loot box. But one other thing before I end this episode here, I thought I'd share, is while you're also leveling, keep in mind that these items here, I'm just going to grab a few things here. The vendors have magic powers. Don't forget this. This is something that I played quite a bit my first character. I didn't realize till later that you can combine things. So this is just an example of one of the many, many recipes that the vendors have. So if you sell one medium flask, you get this. 2 gives you 2 of those. What do you think 3 gives you? A bigger flask, right? So keep that in mind when you're actually selling things. There's some links you can go to that will show you all the secret recipes, but that's a very common one. A lot of things in multiples of 3 or 5 will, it's vendor crafting. So it's another item mechanic that's not quite obvious immediately. Another thing too is you'll notice things don't, like, what level requirement does this have, right? If I hit the Alt key, see that? See how you hit the Alt key, you can see other statistics about items that aren't normally visible. So that's one other thing that I think is worth mentioning. Oh yeah, and one other thing too. I will do that before I forget here. When you're in a combat zone, like let's say I go here, you'll notice too, see these little letters here? This is something I never noticed right away either. This means you got support gems improving that skill. There's a little green dot, there's a little red dot. So here, I'll show you. If I take out this here, see, now that one of the red dots disappeared on Heavy Strike because this was a support gem. Now, if I were to put something in there that wasn't an actual, a very important thing is read what it says on all these items, okay? There's all classes of skills and all classes of activations. There's triggers. There's all things to consider here. But it's really important that you're always maintaining, like checking if your support gems are active. Sometimes you'll get one that says faster attack, right? And you go, oh, great, I'll put faster attack support gem here. Something like that. But then it'll be only for bows or something. And then the way you'll know is you'll drop it in, right? And then the red dot won't appear there. That's like, oh, I guess, hover over it, look at it closer. Really, like, of all the games where reading the details is important, this has got to be one of the #1 games. It's very specific. And there is some nuance and there's some assumed knowledges. You can, again, go to the website. There's a lot of information on PoE out there. So that's how you gain this actual information. And eventually, yeah, you'll get the gist of it. The ultimate goal is to get 6 linked items. Solo self found very hard to do. And you can craft things to add more links. So in the stash here, another thing you'll notice too, in my stash, I have way more tabs. I think you're going to start off with just 4 of these, and I don't think they're this big. This is basically when you spend some money on the game, this is what you get. But one of the most useful upgrades is this little tab they'll give you here for it's like $10 or $20, okay? Again, it's a free game, but you get this, and then, I can go to it and hold control, and oops, that item doesn't stack as well. But a lot of these things do stack there. So I just hit control and I stack things here. And it will recombine things for you in this screen here. And yeah, when you buy the upgrades, you get this here. And that's about all the money. That's about all money can buy you in this game, is just conveniences. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Maybe you learned the basics of it. We'll get a little bit more in depth as the season goes. I'm going to get better at this game, just like every other game. I start off as a noob. By the end of the season, I'm pretty good. So these are the basics. If you want to play the game, really great game, Path of Exile, leave some comments, leave a like if you enjoyed this. And yeah, I will see you next week.